friend, it's official. There are no more guesses.
No more guesses.
The redesigned, refreshed 2025 Ram 1500 truck is here. This is the world debut. There's no more V8. There are several engine options, many more options, and an electrified version, which is kind of mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling, and we'll cover that electrified one a little bit later. But here's what's important to know. That Hurricane straight six turbocharged engine you've been hearing about
It's here.
is finally here.
Yes.
Yes.
So, first of all, let's look at the styling, right? Because the style has been changed a little bit. I would say that it's not a revolution as far as style is concerned. It's a small update, but look at this tungsten model. The tungsten is now their top-end model, and it's behind us right now. What do you think?
I think what they've managed to do is they've taken a vehicle that used to look a little bit masculine and strong, and they've softened all the lines, I think specifically for aerodynamics. So they smoothed it out to make it what I think is a little bit more aerodynamic. And in doing so, they've taken away a lot of the masculine and or hardcore looking aspects of it. It's now softer. So with that being said, some of you guys might like it, but the squinty eye thing and the the integrated bumper and everything else, not for everyone.
All right, so right now we're looking at the tungsten, which is their high end. And usually when manufacturers talk about high-end machines, they're very expensive, luxurious. And I think that's partially why it's kind of smooth also, right? Because it's supposed to communicate a little bit more luxury.
Like the Durango?
Yeah, it does look like a Durango.
It certainly does.
But let's look at the Rebel, right?
Yes, because this is a bit of a reprieve. Yeah, it's better.
Okay, still a little bit squinty on the eye,
and a little too soft. But there's a separate bumper, thank goodness, and that is huge. In addition, you can clearly see the front end tow hooks. Now, on the tungsten version, couldn't see them. They may be underneath, or they may not be there at all. I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe the Rebel truck will come by and help the tungsten truck if the tungsten truck is stuck by maybe pushing it. I'm not sure.
Or pulling it.
Yes. So this is the main design direction on the exterior. Let's take a quick peek at the interior design, and then we'll really dig into the numbers, right?
That's correct.
Because that's what truck people, guys and gals, really love. So this is the interior example. This is a Rebel.
Yeah, now there are a lot of changes, but at the same time, the overall theme pretty much remains the same. In fact, you could kind of say that with the exterior as well, that it is still this truck, and the interior does have a lot of components from the previous model, but at the same time, they have made some real updates.
Yeah, and I think this is not a bad thing because they already had amazing interiors, right?
Yes.
They really kicked us off in the 2019 all new generation of the Ram 1500 truck, and they're continuing to make small tweaks. And I think it still works. I mean, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah, well, they're still best in class, and it looks like they haven't dropped the ball here, fortunately, with the interior design. Still looks outstanding, and if it's as good as the current one, then they'll be leading the class yet again.
And of course, the Tungsten, the new edition, has next level interior as well with 23 speakers audio system and more and more and more. So now let's go into the details. We discussed styling and interior, but now what about the engines? Because there are 3 engine options now.
That's correct. Now there's the SST you're going to hear us say, and that basically stands for straight 6 turbo, but it's essentially Ram speak for saying something that I guess for some reason needs to have 3 letters.
An acronym.
Yeah, I don't understand quite
well,
what
manufacturers love acronyms, right?
Yeah, it's a little overdone, but anyway.
They do.
And there's also the HO, of course, high output. That's something to keep in mind. And then we have some other letters that we're going to try to describe as well that I don't quite understand, frankly, but we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah, so it all starts, they haven't forgotten about the working truck, right?
Right.
So it all starts with a 3.6-liter V6 Pentastar. The
It's
good old
back.
It's still here.
Yeah, it's still here. Look, we know that it is a half-decent powertrain. Not exactly what I would call the most refined compared to other vehicles that are out there now, because it's been around for a long time. I mean, we're putting almost, a decade and a half or more into this engine. And it's been in almost everything that Stellantis/FCA has built. So, kudos for them for having an inexpensive entry-level engine that we know is relatively reliable, and it's still hooked up to an 8-speed automatic transmission.
Yeah, In fact, they're going to have 8-speed automatic across all of their engine offerings, which is also not a bad thing because it's a known quantity, right? So it's made by ZF
Yep.
because ZF and Ram have been working for many, many years, maybe
Yeah.
decades,
Yeah.
on transmissions, and it's a really good transmission as far as some of our testing is concerned.
Correctamundo. So let's continue because there's more.
Yeah, I quickly wanted to show just a glimpse of the work truck. This is a Tradesman. Don't look at the wheels because it's electric.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now we're getting confusing.
But it's still the face of a working truck, right?
Right.
That's where it comes from.
We will cover the electric truck
in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But the next engine, and I think this is the engine that will be in most just regular gas-powered trucks. They're calling it kind of the standard output Hurricane. This is the 3-liter twin-turbo straight six, and the power rating that Ram has communicated is 420 horsepower maximum and 469 pound-feet of torque.
Okay, so that is much better than the outgoing 5.7-liter Hemi V8.
Yes, but how is it going to sound?
Yeah,
We
I
don't
know.
know
We
quite yet.
honestly don't know. And I suspect it's not going to sound quite as good as the V8, but hey, I mean, maybe you're getting a lot more power and performance out of it. This is where the direction Ford went,
Yeah.
so perhaps this is the right direction to go.
But a quick comparison, right? Because we have to look at the EcoBoost Ford,
Right.
and we also have to look at GM V8s because General Motors is, as far as I know, continuing the V8 game in some of their pickup trucks.
And turbocharged 4 cylinders.
Yeah. But GM's V8 is 420 horsepower. So this mid-grade Hurricane matches it on horsepower.
Right.
And the 6.2 V8 from GM is 460 pound-feet of torque. And this has just a smidge more torque, but also low-end torque, right? Because turbocharging helps that.
Yes, it does.
And of course, on the Ford side, the 3.5 twin-turbo V6 EcoBoost is at the standard version is at 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. So this Ram engine has more power but less torque.
Right.
So I sense a drag race coming on, but we don't have access to this truck yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, when we do, we'll be putting it on the track. Now, there are a couple things you should know before we move on to the beefier engine, and that is that there's 3 different rear ends that will be, or rear axles that will be available.
Yes. So the rear axles, so the 321, we're familiar with that one. 392.
We're very familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's the V8 rear axle ratio that they used to have.
Right.
And also a 355 that wasn't as common in the Ram half-ton, but now they're also going to offer that as well. So you have many choices, right? You have that 8-speed automatic transmission. You have 3 different axle ratios, from efficiency axle ratios to heavy towing axle ratios, and now 3 engines as well.
Yeah, that's interesting, but here's the part that I think you guys have been waiting for. The HO, the high output version of the SST 3-liter.
Yep. And this 3-liter engine, I believe it has different hardware. It's not like they sprinkled a tune on top of the other engine and got this power, but the power numbers are 540 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque.
So now we're talking about class leading.
Yes, even the Raptor high output V6 in the Ford is 450 horsepower. So this engine, this high output Hurricane, is going to trounce a lot of the other engines.
At least on paper. Important note here, by the way, the regular straight 6 SST, I believe, is recommended to run at 89 octane.
Yes.
But what about this HO?
91 octane is required for the high output. But what do you expect, right?
Yeah.
The Raptor requires high octane. The TRX, currently the supercharged V8, requires high octane fuels. And that's just to get the maximum power delivered.
Oh, but you said TRX.
Huh?
You said TRX, my friend.
Yes.
So what about the TRX?
We did nothing yet.
Nothing. Nothing. Now, there's a lot of speculation, including from us, and we did a video, which you can see at alltfl.com, where we are discussing that vehicle and the fact that somebody was behind it, listening to it. It was partially disguised, and it was driving, and you could clearly hear that it was not the regular big Hemi that was in there. In fact, we think it's a straight 6 turbo, and hopefully it's putting out more horsepower than this. that yet. There's nothing official.
Yeah, totally. So the Ram did say that, the Tradesman, the Bighorn, the Laramie Longhorn, or the Limited Longhorn, and now the Tungsten is the new high-end truck. So they'll have a full range of, and the Rebel, of course, the full range of trim levels. So they're not walking away from different trims, right? But the TRX, we still don't have information about will it continue, will it be renamed, will it be repowered? We don't know.
Now, there's an important photo that I want you to see, and it's the one that's on the screen behind Andre right now. And the reason why this is important is because it gives you a little bit of a profile shot of this new truck. And it's important because I think this shows why we have a new front end, new hood design, new bumper, and everything else on all of these new Rams. And that is for its aerodynamic profile. You can clearly see that it's a very different shape than the vehicle it replaces. And I think that that was done on purpose.
Yeah, totally. And here's some other important numbers for truck guys and gals is maximum towing and maximum payload. And payload stays about the same where it was before, about 2,300 pounds maximum. Just keep in mind that this is most likely a two-wheel drive truck,
the work truck,
with a short cab and just no options, period. Right. So 2,300 pounds. So they didn't push the limits of that at all, as far as I can tell. And the towing number they communicated, the maximum towing capacity is 11,580 pounds. So they're not chasing those top numbers because GM is currently, for the Silverado 1500s, is around 13,400 pounds. And Ford for 2024 is around 13,000. So it looks like Ram decided not to chase those top-end numbers with this truck.
Okay, now there are a couple other things that we should mention. Now, first of all, we don't have all the information on beds and cab configurations, although we can assume that most likely there will be only a few choices, as with the other automakers. But for instance, if you're wondering if there's going to be a standard cab pickup, we honestly don't know yet. There's no indication to say there is.
Right, because their classic truck that they've been selling, the information we have right now that's going to go away.
Finally.
Right. So how they're going to adjust to it? Is this truck the new face-lifted truck? Will it have a two-door? We still don't have that information.
No, we don't have that information. In addition, some of you, I don't know why, are wondering or perhaps even worried about e-torque and whether or not that's going to make its presence known in the SSTs. So far, nothing here has been written about it. The only place the e-torque is going to be seen, or continuing, I should say, is with the Pentastar V6. They are going to keep it.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense. It's been there before,
right?
So, and by the way, the standard Hurricane could accept 87 octane. So it could accept it according to Ram. It's just that they recommend slightly higher octane rating for the fuel in order to get maximum power out of those engines, right?
Yeah.
So that's important because fuel can be expensive. I mean, it's coming down just slightly right now.
Yeah,
but it could shoot way back
at any given time. Yeah, that's just kind of how it is.
So Ram is now going to put what is here labeled as 2 kilowatt maximum outlets. This is 120 volt AC outlets in the bed. But in their statement, in their press release, it also said 1.8 kilowatts. So it may be 2 kilowatt maximum startup power output inverter, but continuously about 1800 watt inverter, which is really important because now most new trucks have it. The next gen Tacoma has an inverter system like this, similar to this. The Ford has had it for quite some time, and GM doesn't quite have it, but I think they will.
Yeah, well, you guys have already made it very plain that it's like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. We can power a campsite, we can power tools, we can do things using this. So this technology, which has been around for a while, frankly, is a logical thing. It's very smart for Ram to do this. I am curious, however, whether or not they're going to expand on that with other versions of the Ram.
Exactly. I hope they do. So now we can transition to electricity and EV trucks with this. So the tungsten interior, this truck trim will be available with their what they're calling the Ramcharger range extended electric truck.
That is correct. Now we're going to do an entire video dedicated to this truck, so stay tuned for that. But just real quick, that vehicle will have a battery and a gas engine. That gas engine is not connected to the running gear. It is just a generator. And guess what? It's the Pentastar V6.
Yes, the range extender engine in the new electric truck is still the Pentastar.
They can't say goodbye to it, man.
No, it will be here. I think our grandchildren will have this engine.
Oh, Grandpa, I remember that. Yeah, it's exactly. It's like the 350 V6s. It's just going to stay around for a while. And good for them for doing this because maybe it'll make it less expensive. However, you might be curious about many things with this vehicle. We do have a lot of technical data about it. I can tell you right off the bat, 92 kilowatt hour battery, which is about the size of the small battery in the Ford F-150 Lightning. And it won't be a super fast charging truck, really doesn't have to be because it has this generator that will be able to power the battery. But you can still charge it and drive it around and really not use much gas because the range, over 600 miles.
Yes, but we have a specific channel, TFL EV, which will dig really deeply into this electric truck. So check out alltfl.com once again. But I want to close this video by saying this. First of all, pricing is not available yet. So if you've been waiting for the price,
sorry.
The base trucks, 2025 Ram 1500s, will go on sale in first quarter of 2024. And then slowly other trucks will come online, including the high output engine will be slightly delayed or slightly, further down the line. And then interiors, like we showed you, are all great. They have a bigger screen now, 14.5-inch vertical screen.
Yeah, isn't the 12-inch screen standard?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, wow.
And we're showing you right now the tungsten interior. They're going to have a screen in front of the front passenger. Some of our team members, we were discussing this a little bit ago, we don't see a huge need for this screen, but I guess it's a luxury feature that they can add.
Yes, but it's also a bit of a co-pilot feature too, because they can not only watch movies, plugging in and watching your movies, but you can actually go into the vehicle systems from the passenger seat and be able to access a few things and do a few things.
Yeah, maybe like navigation. You can look at some cameras around the truck and maybe help the driver, like you said, navigate or back up or something like that.
Maybe even massage feature. I don't know, but maybe.
So, and also hands-free driving will be available on top models. So this is similar to like Blue Cruise or Super Cruise systems from GM or Ford.
But we don't have a lot of details on it yet.
Yeah, but they did say highway assist hands-free system will be available. So they're now on par with the other manufacturers of trucks.
Or they will be.
Yes, there will be. And of course, there are many more details, even more towing and more payload in an electric truck. But you have to go to alltfl.com to find out.
That's right. And stay tuned to TFL EV to check out more information on the Ramcharger.
Yeah, so for now, let's sign off. And thanks for joining us. This is basically the updated, facelifted Ram 2025 1500.
Insane, guys. Stay tuned for more. This man no doubtably will be driving them very soon.
You can tell I'm trying to run outside now and grab it, but it's not here yet.
Not quite.